What's good, everybody? All my fellow comic book fans, Marvel Universe fans, and fighting game fans. It's your boy, JCG. Welcome back to the lounge. Yes, we are talking about Marvel TOKON yet again. So, while we've all seen and reacted to the most recent trailer for the first full team for Marvel Fighting Souls, we have to have an honest conversation. One that kinda hurts me inside, cause it means sacrifices have to be made. The trailer for the Unbreakable X-Men team in Marvel TOKON reveals to us two things. One, there will be preset teams, or at least established lore-based teams within this game, most likely for the story mode. And two, with the inclusion of the character of Danger, we now understand what they're going for in terms of what kind of characters they want to bring in for this game. The dev team for TOKON did say that they want to include characters from Marvel that have never been in the fighting game before. Which is good, because we all know that there's plenty of superheroes and supervillains within Marvel's ever-expanding universe that have yet to appear on a fighting game roster. Magic has been increasing in popularity lately, especially since she's a fan favorite in Marvel Rivals, so she's definitely an inclusion that makes sense. Danger, however, is one that seems pretty out of left field, considering that we didn't know they were going to go that deep in terms of obscure, lesser-known characters. In fact, most of us, even those like myself who would have say were pretty knowledgeable in comic lore, didn't remember who Danger was until that trailer. I consider this a good and also a cautious revelation, because we can now make a guess as to who we can expect to see in this game's final launch roster. With that said, I do think we need to point out some things regarding this roster. First off, going by the trailer and the comments from the developers themselves, we need to start thinking about potential Marvel characters who, A, are not as popular but still offer something unique in terms of video game skill sets, and B, properly fit in with one of the 5 preset teams that this game is setting up. And that's what leads me to my second point. Take a look at this image. We have to pick characters that make sense for these 5 teams led by these 5 specific team leaders that have already been confirmed. Captain America, Storm, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and of course, Doctor Doom. We already have one fully revealed, as I mentioned before. Storm and the Unbreakable X-Men, featuring Magic, Wolverine, and Danger. So all that remains is Cap's team, Doom's team, Spider-Man's team, and Ghost Rider's team. Now, here's the tricky part, and the part where I said earlier kind of hurts me inside. We need to theory craft the other 4 groups in a way where the team leaders, as well as the rest of the roster, make perfect sense in terms of if they have or would team up for the story. 2 problems, however. 1, we're gonna have to cut back on some of the most requested fan favorites for this roster, cause previous trailers also did show us that certain characters may or may not have a chance of being playable. I'm specifically referring to the X-Mansion stage where you see fan favorite heroes like Gambit, Nightcrawler, Psylocke, and Colossus in the background. For the record, this does not confirm nor deny that those particular characters will never be playable down the line. But it does kind of make fans like me a little worried. Same with the New York City stage. The part of the stage that has the Nelson and Murdoch building in the background. And you can slightly see Matt Murdock through the window. Again, not a deconfirmation. This doesn't mean Daredevil won't make it, but we probably shouldn't expect him at launch. And 2, we have the issue of Star-Lord. Lots of folks have been talking about Star-Lord because he surprisingly isn't a team leader for this game, despite the fact that he in the comics is the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's kind of messing everyone up in terms of roster predictions. Because if the rest of the Guardians don't make it in the game, then where is Star-Lord gonna go exactly? Whose team will he be on? I mean, it wouldn't make sense for him to be paired up with a character like Doom or Ghost Rider, to be honest. But I have a theory, and that's the point of this video. I'm going to show you all my predictions as to who I think will realistically make it into the base roster. Remember to keep in mind, folks, characters who have never been in a fighting game before, as we already mentioned. All of them are going to be assigned to one of the 5 groups with the main team leaders. And, because I didn't say this before, this game will only have 20 characters at launch. Not a massive roster, but not a criminally tiny one either. So with only 20 characters to work with, we gotta choose wisely. Alright, so let's transition to my predictions, shall we? So, as you guys can see by this little image that I put together on my laptop, this is, as you can see right at the top, Marvel Fighting Souls base roster realistic predictions, right? And, since we're talking about, just who we think could be added to this game just from the recent trailer alone, like what they're going to go with in terms of who can best represent both the lesser known side of Marvel and characters who just have yet to shine in a game like this. So I put together like my own little mock-up roster, 20 characters, because like I've already mentioned, that's what we're working with. That's how many are going to be in the base roster. Hopefully they will add plenty more down the line. We know they will add plenty more down the line. I want the roster to at least be like maybe close to 50, maybe a little over 50 by the time the game's life cycle is done. But enough about that. Let's just talk about my my picks, my predictions in terms of who we could see become a playable character in this game. Now, obviously following the team format, this is kind of like my prediction in terms of like how some of these teams are going to go. So you look at the top, right? Cap's team, the Avengers. We all know Cap is going to lead his own little group. And I think it's safe to say that Iron Man is definitely going to be siding along with him. You know, Captain America and Iron Man have always been on an Avengers team together, and it's not often you see neither one of them on the same team in terms of like a main Avengers lineup. Just saying. So yeah, I think that's how they're going to put those two together, and Cap's going to be the leader. Star-Lord, remember what I said earlier, Star-Lord is the one that's tripping everybody up, because he's not going to be a leader. He's not going to lead the Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's kind of difficult as to where we're going to put him. But I have a theory that they're probably going to put him on Cap's team, and he's going to be a pseudo of like somewhat of an Avenger. I mean, if we just go by recent history, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially in terms of like the movies, they have teamed up with Earthbound heroes. They have teamed up with the Avengers before. So I wouldn't be surprised if Star-Lord became a sort of honorary, at least short-term Avengers member for this game. Like I just feel like if you had to put Star-Lord anywhere that wasn't like a Guardians team or like any of these other teams that just he just will kind of feel out of place, then the Avengers just makes the most sense for him to be in. Now, for the fourth character, I was thinking to myself, well, the Avengers, they have a lot of female members, and it would be easy for me to put Black Widow in this game, and I almost kind of did, and I even almost put Hulk in this game too, but we'll talk about him a little bit later. Instead, I decided to do something just a little bit different. Remember, they're going with lesser known picks, right? So I was thinking, what if we do someone like Valkyrie? And obviously it's not Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie from the Thor movies, but classic comic book Valkyrie. And you may be thinking, well, Jordan, she's not really a lesser known character. Maybe not. But, when was the last time Valkyrie has ever been playable in a Marvel video game? I can't remember. I can't recall. Maybe like a Lego game here and there. But Valkyrie she's an Avengers member. I believe she has been on an Avengers team lineup before. So, and you could say, well, then why not just add Thor? You're right, they could just add Thor, especially since we've seen the statue in one of the stages of Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, all three of them standing together, basically Marvel's Trinity. Just standing together in the background of one of the stages. I think it was the New York stage, but again, we have to think about, well, ArcSys, the developers, said that they want to do specifically lesser known Marvel characters who have never been in a fighting game before. And to my knowledge, Valkyrie has never been in a fighting game ever. So, yeah, she can fit like the Asgardian type of characters. If Thor isn't going to make this game, which he might, we don't really know. But if Thor doesn't come in this game, then Valkyrie's right there, because you don't even have to have her using a sword like magic or whatever, but she can use her spear. She can maybe fly around on her horse or Pegasus. I think that's what the Valkyries ride on, Pegasus. But yeah, that's my prediction for Cap's Avengers team. Obviously, we already have the Unbreakable X-Men. That's already been revealed. Now, these next three teams, I decided to just kind of go a little bit out there in terms of, maybe not too far out there, but in terms of like characters who have been getting a lot more recognition in Marvel lately and possibly could be in terms of what ArcSys is looking for. So, Spider-Man's team, Neighborhood Heroes. I originally was thinking about calling it Heroes for Hire, but I think that may be saved for a possible Daredevil-led team if Daredevil ever comes to this game. But Spider-Man's team, he's going to be leading the Neighborhood Heroes, so basically street-level heroes. You got Ms. Marvel there with him. I figured, Ms. Marvel technically could be considered an Avengers character. But I think she would fit much better with a character like Spider-Man. And the whole point of the Neighborhood Heroes lineup is like younger, street level, mostly experienced, but also not like the long time OGs like Captain America, Iron Man, Wolverine, and yeah, those guys. Neighborhood Heroes represents the young city-bound superheroes that you would see every day. So Spider-Man, Ms. Marvel, and then you got White Tiger and Shang-Chi. And now the reason I chose White Tiger and Shang-Chi is because, well, for one, Shang-Chi actually, he's been getting a lot more recognition in Marvel thanks to Simu Liu and his movie in 2021. And Shang-Chi, the character, is coming back in Avengers Doomsday later this year. And Shang-Chi actually he's never been in a fighting game, and he's perfect for a fighting game because he literally fits the martial artist archetype. And you can easily have him use the 10 rings to utilize in combat the way he did in the movie, if you've seen how they worked in the movie. So yeah, it's honestly, putting Shang-Chi in this game should be a no-brainer. If they need to have some sort of martial artist-like character in this game, and Iron Fist definitely is still there. You can bring him in if you want to. I would definitely like to see Iron Fist. Love to see him. But if they don't want to go with Iron Fist, then hey, Shang-Chi is the next best thing, because I think he out long before Iron Fist came out? In terms of like comic history, I believe so. I could be wrong, but Shang-Chi is right there, and he'd be perfect for a fighting game. And I went with White Tiger because, one, I need another really good female character, and two, because White Tiger is actually going to probably become a lot more popular, because we've been seeing not just seeing the actual character, but mentions of White Tiger for Daredevil Born Again, the Disney Plus show. We obviously have the male White Tiger, Hector Ayala, but obviously, as you can see by this image, I'm going with the female version, his daughter, Ava Ayala, and possibly the one that people best know. Like, White Tiger, I feel like you're going to have that her character suit up in Daredevil Born Again real soon. So why not just bring a character like her to the game, because she can be like a really cool rush down, like another type of martial arts character who focuses on slashing attacks with her claws and like a bunch of kicks and stuff like that. Yeah, it's possible a character like her could come to the game. All right, next team, Ghost Rider's team, Midnight Suns. This one should be pretty easy. If Ghost Rider is going to lead a team, then you can't. You have to pair him up with characters that are like him on the supernatural side. Like, it wouldn't make sense to pair him up with Star-Lord or even like have him join Doctor Doom or whatever. So Ghost Rider's team, it obviously has to be the Midnight Suns, and we got 3 great picks here. Doctor Strange, no-brainer. Like, they need a magic user. We cannot have a magic user of some kind in this game, so I think Doctor Strange is probably going to be that character. They could go with Scarlet Witch too, but I feel like Doctor Strange would just be like, he's the character who he has fighting game experience, and it's just like he's a founding member of the Midnight Suns, so why not bring him in? And then you got my boy Blade. I think this is the one most requested character I have that I kind of kept. Like, I had to cut a few other characters that I wanted, but Blade, he also is a founding member of the Midnight Suns, and he's never been in a fighting game. So, yeah, now would be a perfect opportunity to bring him in and pair him up with Ghost Rider. That's perfect. And then finally, we have Man-Thing. Now, Man-Thing, he's going to be like the big body, muscle, heavyweight type of character. And probably, maybe, I don't know if he fit the grappler archetype, but basically he's the stand-in for the Hulk, because like I said, I originally wanted to put Hulk in this game, have him be a part of the Avengers lineup, but honestly, Hulk really could come in this game. I don't think they'll have a fighting game without the Hulk. He may not be base roster, but he will definitely be DLC. But in terms of taking the place of the green, strong giant character, then we got Man-Thing, and he's part of the Midnight Suns. I think maybe a founding member. I could be wrong. Probably not a founding member, but Man-Thing is definitely a lesser known character, much like Danger, and he actually has like cool powers with what he can do with like I need to look back at his power sets, because he's like this plant-based character, but I think he also has like some sort of energy powers. I'm not too well knowledgeable in terms of like what Man Thing can do, but I think he actually could be a really, really good pick for Ghost Rider's team, and possibly just like a really cool like heavyweight character for players to try out. All right, and finally, we cannot forget Doctor Doom. Now, there have been people who have been saying that Doctor Doom could possibly be teamed up together with Star-Lord because for a brief moment in the comics, Doctor Doom has joined the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I don't agree with that because I actually think with the lack of villains that we have so far, I think it's possible the developers want Doctor Doom to not be lonely and have more bad guys from Marvel join in on the fun. So I think it's highly likely that we could see Doctor Doom's own Masters of Evil, essentially. And that's what I named it, the Masters of Evil. So, much like with Blade, there is another fan favorite requested character of mine that, as many others have too, Magneto. He was the one that I actually kept. I wasn't sure if I wanted to replace him with somebody else, but I decided to have Magneto stick around because Magneto is definitely no stranger to fighting games. If you've played Marvel vs. Capcom, you know that Magneto has tons of experience in the FG scene. So, yeah, he's just like a staple when it comes to Marvel fighting games, and his presence was obviously very much missed in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, along with many other X-Men. And I remember that, that infamous quote from one of the developers saying that, oh, well, characters like Magneto are just a function. No, not just functions. People actually love the X-Men characters. They love Magneto. So, I think Magneto is definitely long overdue for his return to fighting games. And yeah, it just makes sense that him and Doctor Doom would probably join forces together. So, yeah, that's at least my prediction. I'm not saying it will happen. Maybe Magneto might not be base roster. He could definitely show up as DLC. But if you want to make like your own team of villains, then why not? These next two characters definitely one of them's a bit more out there, but the Green Goblin, I have him in there because when was the last time we've had a Spider-Man villain or an antagonist in a fighting game that wasn't just Venom? When? You can't name me another time because Venom, for the longest time, has been the only Spider-Man arch enemy that has ever been in fighting games. All of the Marvel games from Capcom, was he in? I don't think he was in Marvel Superheroes, but he's definitely in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He didn't make his way back into 3, but he was in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. They made him DLC. And yeah, Venom has had so much fighting game presence lately. And it's like, I think it's time that some other of Spider-Man's greatest enemies actually have a chance to shine in a fighting game. So why not bring his number one best villain into the game, Green Goblin? Because Green Goblin has never been in a fighting game outside of the mobile game Contest of Champions. So yeah, it's Green Goblin's time to shine, baby. Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in. And this last pick I have for the Masters of Evil is kind of a Hulk, She-Hulk villain, but neither of them are here. But I wanted to have the Masters of Evil not just be all male characters and kind of do have at least one female character be on Doom's team. So I was looking through online, seeing what female villains could join in this game. And that's when I said to myself, you know what? How about we go with Titania? Titania is, she fits the, you could say another like kind of big body. She's the muscle mommy character of the fighting game, kind of like with Marisa from Street Fighter 6. You know, she's definitely can be a grappler type more so than a character like Man Thing. She's like really big on wrestling and just like big punches and just big stomps and stuff like that. And you know, I think even one time in the comics, she was recruited by Doctor Doom to join the Masters of Evil. So if we should have a female villain in this game at some point in time, and why not Titania? You know, she can definitely be like an up close and personal grappler character that I think people will enjoy playing. But that's my realistic predictions for this game, folks. That's what I think the roster could turn out like. I'm not saying all of these characters that I picked out will definitely make it in, but you never know. You never know what could happen. And this is just like this is essentially like how I think the roster is gonna look. At least like if I had to take all the characters I picked out and line them up in here with all these empty spaces. So yeah, 20 characters. I think I made some pretty good choices. Tell me what you guys think though. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the video for today. My predictions on what the roster for Marvel TOKON could look like when it launches. Again, these are just my guesses. Like, some of these are characters I would really want. Others are characters who we may or may not even expect, but we can possibly point at as to what these devs might go for. So, yeah. I'm not saying this roster lineup will definitely happen, but who knows, man. These developers at ArcSys may surprise us with this game more and more. I mean, they surprised us with Danger, so I can't wait to see what they have next for this game in the coming months. But yeah, that's going to be the video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget, hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, are you excited for Marvel TOKON? What characters would you really want to see? And who do you think will realistically make it in terms of like characters that are definitely on ArcSys' radar? Who's your favorite Marvel character overall? Again, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. I'll be back with more videos real soon. In the meantime, God bless. I'm out. Go play some more fighting games. And when the time comes, go play Marvel TOKON. See y'all later. Deuces.